In a fun junk journal dream, DJ's crafting grungy scenes. Hither and yon, where friends all meet. Paper glue and vintage treats.
Hello, my crafty friends and creators from around the globe. Welcome to Hither and Yon Studio. And if you've been here before, welcome back, my friends. I'm in the studio today with a really quick make, little simple, fun bit that you can tuck into your journals. It's very beginner friendly. So if you've never made ephemera and you're just getting into junk journaling, this is the video for you. Okay, so let's jump into it. You're going to need some strips, scraps. They can be any size, and I'll show you in a few minutes why they can be like absolutely any size. I'm going to start with this. These are usually the cutoffs I have from like cutting down paper. So this is coffee dyed paper, and this is, I think, a Tim Holtz scrap. Yep. And so, yeah, like when I'm cutting up papers, I always end up with these strips. Little ones, big ones. But we're going to turn these into fun ephemera for our journals, and they're also a very useful tool. So here's what you do. You take your strip and you want to find a point that makes sense. We're going to turn it into a matchbook. Okay, so look over your scrap and see kind of where you might want to fold it, what you want to decorate and such. I think I am going to cut mine down. So I'm going to end up folding a bit like this, and then I'm going to end up folding some down. So I'm going to go like around here. So let me give you the approximate dimensions of this piece. This one is about 2 1/4 wide by about 6 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and score it on 3/4 of an inch. Let's just try that so I can give you some measurements. And then that part will fold up like that. And then you can just take this part. You don't have to really measure it. You can fold it down, and you want it to kind of overlap this flap by about 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less maybe, and just fold on that line. Okay, and this is what we have. Okay, now you can do it either way, whatever way makes sense to you. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to leave this on the inside. Okay, and then we want to grab some of those other strips. Any scraps will do. They don't all have to be uniform. They can be different sizes and types. And let me just make an inky line here so I can see where that is, because I am going to end up inking. You take your scraps and you kind of tuck them in here, and you can see you want them to be a little thinner than the matchbook. So mine are. And then I'm just going to tear these just below that line. Doing mine all at once. And then we'll do another set. And they don't have to be perfect. You can cut them if you don't want to tear them. You can use your paper trimmer, whatever you prefer. So then we have these scraps, right? We're going to ink up. We're going to ink this up because I want it to be a little grungy, because that's my vibe. But you might have something that is very pretty or feminine. Maybe you don't ink and your paper is completely different, but this is how I'm going to do it. And then we're going to do this little piece here. Now you can round the corners if you want, like for here and maybe here. But I'm going to leave them as they are because that kind of looks like a traditional matchbook. And we'll do a little of the inside just to make it grungy and to give a little ink time to my ink-loving friends out there who love to watch inking. Okay, so we have our matchbook and we have our papers. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of lay these out, and I'm going to get some of my stamps. But if you don't have stamps, you can cut like some images out of magazines and attach them. The point is, this matchbook is going to give us some ephemera that we can tear out and use in our journals. So I'm going to use these butterfly stamps, but you use whatever you have. There's actually a bee on here too. So I'm going to pull one of these off and stamp. Here we go. I have some Coffee Archival ink by Ranger. And I am just going to add some stamping to each of these. Now you can get as elaborate as you want. For the sake of the video, I'm going to do this kind of quick. But you know, so think of, once you have these in there, that you can have the ability to kind of store this matchbook in your journal. And then you can go ahead and actually, let's add this in here. You can go ahead and tear these out and then use them to make like little page edges, or just to accent a page. So, you know, you have something that you can keep in there and just tear out pages or pieces that maybe look similar to the pages in the journal. So if you make journals, you can include some of the papers from the journal that you're making for someone, and include different color papers that they can tear out and use as maybe page tabs, or to back up something that they're adding to their journal. All right, let's do this bee. Yeah, and you can really go to town. You can kind of do these in different colors. You could also use stickers. Stickers would be awesome. This is a great use of stickers. So I'm going to put 2 on here. I'm going to do this bee. And this bee. Like so. What else do I have? Oh, you're pretty. I'll use you. And I just love the fact that you can do these, a bunch of them. You can mass make these so easily. They are definitely a good mass make. I'm going to do that one, and then I'm going to add another little one on here. Like so. And I'll get you. And you. There we go. Okay, so we have our little pieces stamped out. And now we just gather them up. And you can mix in just some regular plain papers too. Like I said, that maybe match what's inside your journal. But look, watch how easy. Now, we're just going to tuck them in here. And then I'm just going to put a single staple here on the bottom. Oop, maybe. Oh, I think I'm out of staples. Hold on. All right, I think I fixed it. Let's see. There we go. And then this piece will tuck in here. And then the only thing left to do is to decorate, right? So I brought out some bits. Let's see. That one you can't really see, can you? We've got a bee, which kind of matches the bee. And we've got that. Ooh, how about mushrooms? Okay. Got some mushrooms, and I feel like I need something behind those mushrooms, so I brought out some labels. Got this bigger mushroom. Just trying to find a combination I like. Okay, I like that one. So you could also just stamp, right? I could just stamp. And then put the mushroom. I was just hoping I would get a flower or something. What's this one? I guess we're going with the mushroom. Because that's going to hang off. So I just put a little ink there in case you see it from the other side. Okay. And then I have some tinier little bits here. So let's see. What's this? This is little bitty. It says Polariscope. That can go there, and then I could stamp, maybe I can find a number. Kind of like that. Okay, and I'm going to use these Stampers Anonymous Field Notes. CMS 396. I just want a little bitty number. Can I get a little bitty number? That's the question. Yeah, maybe I can just do this. Nice. And then maybe something in red, maybe down here. Let me get my red. These are very large. Okay, I also have these out, which are Moth Study CMS 436. And these have these little bitty, kind of like labels. Where is my block? I need the block for these. Like that. And let's see, I have a circular one. This one here. Kind of go like that. So we have this, right? And then what you can do is stick this in your journal, and then you can just tear one out and put it on a page and decorate around it, or use it in a cluster, or use it as a mini pocket or a tab, or so many other things. But then this can just tuck in your journal, and yeah, that's it. Let's do one more. I have a bunch. Look, I have this one I did. And see, I also did this one. So we'll do one more. Do I want to do a little one? What else? I have all these to choose from. Maybe we'll do a bigger one because then I'll have more room to decorate. So we just did one like that. Oh, here's another one I did. This one's bugs. These are so fun. And they're so easy, and look how like many different ways. So it doesn't matter the strip of paper that you have. As you can see, some of these are really tiny, like this one. And that is just a really small strip of paper and some really small scraps. So you don't have to have really big pieces. All right, so let's do this one. This one happens to be 1.5 by about 5. And then this is about a 1/2 inch up fold, and then I just folded that down. All right, so I am going to just ink this up. Like so. I could go crazy and do so many, but I will just do, let's do the inside too. Because I want to have this all inked up. All right, so you're not going to see inside that, so that's done. And then I have my pieces, like so. So I have 6 in this one, I think. 5? I guess 5. Yeah, it's not a double. Feels like it, but it's not. And so I also have these, which I thought would be fun. These I can kind of put together. Let me put something under that. And stamp. Because they're wider, so I just want to make sure I have something under there. This one isn't. This one can be. And I'm going to use, these are just Temu, I think, or Amazon stamps. That. And then we have this one. They're cute. They'll be good in clusters and stuff. And then we can take this one, maybe get it across 2 of them. Maybe. I don't know. I need a bigger block. Of course. This is what I have right here, so. Well, we're not going to see that one so much, are we? Because it's going to get lost when we tear it. So just come back in. Do that. So you get a chance to use up the stamps that maybe you don't use that often. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aren't these so cute? And look how easy. I mean, come on. And it's a great scrap buster, so that's always good. Here we go. And this folds down. And then, let me get some scrap paper. Ooh. You know how I am with grids. Alright, like this. But you could just go bananas and get rid of all those strips. Right? They're everywhere. Like that. And then these are very big. They're too big for this. Okay. What do we got over here? Got this. Put that on there. Black of that. That's kind of cool. And maybe we can find a number to stamp on there. Oh, actually, there's a little number on here I could use. Just gonna cut this out. And trim it up. I'm going to put it down here on the bottom. After we grunge it up, of course. Put that over there. You know, you can add lace or pretty things too. This is just my jam. There we go. We can put something inside here too, just to kind of give it some zhuzh. You know, match the theme of your journal or whatever. There we go. And there. And that's my little video. So use up your scraps and make a bunch and use them in your journals and have a lot of fun doing it. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if you'll be making some of these. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night.